Get this, what if I told you that you could walk right into a government building today, or just log onto a website from your couch and read the actual handwritten details of a neighborhood dispute that happened over 300 years ago? Seriously, it's true. In Dutchess County, New York, public court records don't just go back a few decades, they literally date all the way back to the year 1721.
And we aren't just talking about a handful of old dusty papers here. We are talking about over 167,000 pages of these historical legal documents, all meticulously preserved. So whether you're a legal professional tracking down a recent civil judgment, a genealogist hunting for your ancestors, or just a curious citizen embarking on a massive public records treasure hunt, the sheer volume of information available to you is absolutely staggering.
So, welcome to our explainer. We're diving into the ultimate guide to looking up court cases in Dutchess County. Our mission today is pretty simple but absolutely vital. We're going to demystify the completely decentralized and honestly, sometimes incredibly bureaucratic public records system of Dutchess County. We'll cut right through the confusion and show you exactly how to find what you're looking for.
Okay, here's our procedural map for today. 1. Decoding the court system. 2. Our online record access guide. 3. In-person research and fees. 4. Exploring historical ancient documents. 5. Privacy, sealing, and restrictions. And finally, 6. Some practical research tips. Let's get into it.
Starting with Section 1, Decoding the Court System.
So, the absolute golden rule of legal research is this. You literally cannot find a record if you don't know which specific court actually holds it. It's like a giant puzzle. Dutchess County's judicial system is this complex architecture of overlapping jurisdictions. If you're looking for major civil litigation like financial disputes over $25,000 or divorces or felony criminal prosecutions, you need the Supreme and County Courts. Those are over at 10 Market Street in Poughkeepsie. But if you're searching for juvenile delinquency, child custody, or neglect cases, those are housed entirely separately at the Family Court at 50 Market Street. And for the minor stuff, traffic tickets, small claims, or local misdemeanors, well, those are scattered across 27 different town and village justice courts throughout the county, like the ones in Beacon, Fishkill, or Red Hook. You absolutely have to match your search to the right jurisdiction.
Moving right along to Section 2, our online record access guide.
Now, the easiest path for modern investigators is definitely online access. Because let's face it, retrieving public records from the comfort of your own home in sweatpants is always the best place to start. But you really need to understand the bureaucratic divide here. You're generally dealing with two totally different systems. On one side, you have the state-level e-court system. This tracks the active litigation. It uses tools like Web Civil for lawsuits and Web Crims for pending criminal files that have future court dates. On the flip side, you have the Dutchess County Clerk Portal. The county clerk manages the permanent archives. This is where you go for deeds, mortgages, and finalized civil judgments dating back to 1987. For instance, if you're tracking a civil lawsuit in the Supreme Court, you'll likely use the New York State Court's electronic filing system commonly known as NYSEF. E-filing has actually been mandatory for most civil actions in Dutchess County since 2013. And the really great news? You don't even need an official account to view the public dockets. You simply access the NYSEF guest search, plug in a party name or index number, and boom, you can instantly view a case summary, see the assigned judge, and even download flattened PDF copies of the actual file documents for completely free.
And listen, if you want to be a real pro about this, you can automate your research using a completely free utility called eTrack. This system lets you subscribe to specific cases in the civil or criminal databases. It will literally shoot you an email notification if there's a new docket entry or an adjournment. You can even set it up to alert you 1, 7, or 30 days before a scheduled court appearance. Honestly, it's an incredibly powerful tool for staying on top of active litigation without having to check the site every single day.
Okay, Section 3, In-person research and fees.
But what if the records just aren't online? Or what if you absolutely need an official certified copy? Well, that requires shifting to the ground game. If you're heading into Poughkeepsie, you'll be bouncing between a few key buildings. We already mentioned the courts at 10 and 50 Market Street. But the county clerk's office, which is your main hub for physical archives, is at 22 Market Street in the county office building. However, I have a massive warning for anyone visiting right now. There is a huge multi-year HVAC renovation project going on. The record room and requisition desk have been temporarily shoved from the second floor up to the third floor. County administrators have actively warned that this is going to cause delays in retrieving physical paper files or historical microfilm all the way through the summer of 2026. So bring some patience for sure.
Now, let's talk about the fees, because while access is public, copies certainly are not free. If you go down to the record room and make your own copies, what they call a client-prepared copy, it'll run you 65 cents per page with a $5.20 minimum. Now, if you need a clerk-prepared, certified copy for official legal reasons, that price jumps to $1.25 per page. And here is a major common pitfall to avoid. Comprehensive criminal background checks do not go through the local clerk at all. For that, you actually need a statewide criminal history record search through the Office of Court Administration. That requires an exact name and date of birth match, and it's going to cost you $95 per search.
Section 4. Exploring historical ancient documents.
All right, let's transition to something truly fascinating. If you are a historian or a genealogist, this next section is your absolute goldmine. Remember those 1721 documents we talked about right at the beginning? Well, the county clerk offers an ancient document search portal online. But here's the catch. To navigate it, you kind of have to speak their language. I'm talking 18th century legal terminology. For instance, you might stumble across the term bastardy, which was just the archaic legal classification for a child born out of wedlock. Or you'll see recognizances, which simply meant a formal promise made to a magistrate to observe a certain condition, like showing up for a trial. Understanding these old terms really brings these surviving manuscripts from the 1700s to life.
You can query this incredible ancient document database using some very specific parameters. You can search by a person's name or their role, like a justice of the peace. You can search by a specific record type, like old arrest warrants. Or you can even search by the type of offense, like debt or assault, and then filter it down by the specific municipality where the incident occurred centuries ago. It's really an unbelievable window into the daily life and legal disputes of the past.
Section 5. Privacy, sealing, and restrictions.
Of course, not every single thing is an open book. Moving into the obstacles of record retrieval, we really have to address the ethical and statutory limitations of public access. Which brings us to the critical question: are all Dutchess County court records open to the public? Well, generally, yes. New York Judiciary Law Section 255 establishes the public's right to know and actually obligates clerks to provide copies. But that right is strictly balanced against individual privacy and confidentiality.
So here are the locked doors of the system. Family court files involving custody or neglect, those are strictly confidential under Family Court Act Section 166. Adoptions in surrogates court, permanently sealed. Youthful offender adjudications are also kept entirely off the public record. And importantly, matrimonial actions, meaning divorces, are heavily restricted under Domestic Relations Law Section 235. You can't just walk in and read up on someone else's divorce file. You literally need a specialized judicial order if you aren't a direct party to the case. But here is a fascinating legal nuance that trips up a lot of people. While DRL Section 235 prohibits the court clerks from sharing divorce files, it actually does not prevent the spouses themselves from sharing their own documents publicly. The appellate ruling in the case of Kasanoff versus Kasanoff confirmed this. It basically stated that broad gag orders stopping spouses from discussing their divorce with third parties violate the First Amendment, unless they're super narrowly tailored to protect children. So while the state locks those matrimonial files down tight, those documents can still legally enter the public sphere if one of the litigants decides to hit share.
Wrapping up with Section 6, Practical Research Tips.
To finish out the structured part of our explainer, I want to leave you with some actionable, on-the-ground advice for success. This is quite possibly the best pro tip I can give you. Commercial legal databases like Westlaw and Lexis can cost thousands of dollars a year. But get this, you can access them for totally free at the 9th Judicial District Public Law Library right inside the courthouse. Anyone can walk in and use their public computer terminals. However, because you can only access the databases inside the library, you absolutely must remember to bring a USB flash drive to save your research. Printing on site is strictly limited to 20 pages per day, so that flash drive is basically going to be your best friend. And naturally, that leads me to a very important legal disclaimer. As always, this explainer is for informational purposes only. While we absolutely love breaking down this bureaucratic system for you, navigating courts can have serious legal consequences. It is highly recommended that you consult actual legal professionals, licensed attorneys, for formal advice specific to your individual circumstances. Always make sure you're adhering to ethical research guidelines along the way. Well, we've covered a massive amount of ground today. From navigating the overlapping jurisdictions of modern courts to decoding 18th century handwritten manuscripts, the Dutchess County court record system is vast, it's pretty complex, but ultimately, it is accessible if you just know the rules of the game. So, with nearly 3 centuries of public history and data right at your fingertips, whose records will you uncover first? Get out there, start searching, and thank you so much for joining me today.